best. Thank you. Alison McGovern.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Before I begin, can I first offer my thanks to you for this opportunity to make my first contribution to debate in this House, and also for the kindness that you and other experienced members on all sides have shown to me in recent weeks. I'd like to congratulate the members for Wyre Forest and Brighton Kemp Down on their excellent maiden speeches also. I intend to be brief, Mr Deputy Speaker, but I hope the House will permit me the time to say a few words about my constituency and the issues that are important there. I considered it, Mr Deputy Speaker, a very great honour to have been selected as a candidate to represent the place where I was born and that I call home. To now represent here those that I grew up with in Wirral South, my family and my oldest friends, is a responsibility that's sincerely humbling and one that I can barely find the words to describe. Mr Deputy Speaker, as a Wirral South person, I have had the pleasure of my predecessor's acquaintance for many years. Mr Ben Chapman is a very amiable man, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I have been struck how many members of this House have taken the time to speak to me about him in recent weeks. They've stopped me and asked me to take with me to Wirral their best wishes to him. I'm sure this does not happen to every new Member of Parliament, and it's a sign of how highly he is regarded here. He worked very hard to foster better relationships between our country and others, most especially China, and his legacy to this House will be in those relationships. Today's debate is on Europe, and I believe politics is more internationally minded because of Ben's work. In a globalised world, nothing could be more important. In addition, Mr Deputy Speaker, I note that my predecessor made his first contribution to this House during a debate on the National Health Service Primary Care Bill. He explained that some of our constituency's most pressing problems related to health services. He spoke of 6,000, more than 1 in 10 of our residents being on waiting lists, and those in hospitals having long waits on trolleys, not swift, effective treatment. Mr Deputy Speaker, in coming months, I wonder if some may attempt to rewrite the history of the recent Labour government, but I can report that in Wirral South, we have achieved a great reduction in any clinically unnecessary waiting time, and in Clatterbridge Centre for Oncology, we have a world-beating treatment centre for those with cancer, alongside our marvellous NHS staff. With Ben Chapman's hard endeavour standing up for local health services, we also have Labour health secretaries to thank for this. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, I'm deeply proud to originate from the constituency that I now represent. But I cannot claim to be the first local resident of Wirral South to become involved in Labour politics. In 1932, a Mr Wilson, an industrial chemist, on being made redundant from his job in Huddersfield, moved to Spittal in my constituency. His son joined the local grammar school and became its head boy. Young Harold was clearly made for leadership roles, and while he went on to represent constituencies over the water in Huyton and Ormskirk, Wirral has never forgotten him. Wirral is a geographically wonderful place, especially the southern part that I represent. From the banks of the Mersey overlooking the Liverpool skyline to the banks of the Dee, from where you can see the heights of Snowdonia, we Wirralians are thankful for our good fortune to reside in one of the most visually stunning parts of Britain. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, it's our people, our culture and our heritage that truly makes us. We are an internationally minded and cultured people in Wirral South. We are the traditional home of Unilever, and many of my constituents work for nearby Vauxhall Motors and Airbus, as well as other international companies in manufacturing and other sectors. Companies that trade on the European and world stage and that worked with the Labour government and trade unions to carry British industry through difficult times over the past year. Britain's role in leading Europe over the past decade has been of benefit to Wirral and North West England, and I trust that all members of the new government will be able to maintain our influence. For us Merseysiders, I believe our culture and heritage is at the heart of who we are. According to Impacts 08, the report on Liverpool's European Capital of Culture Year, we are more likely to go to a museum or gallery than others in the UK. And I like to think this is not much of a surprise when my constituency boasts the treasures of the Lady Lever Art Gallery in the Victorian model village of Port Sunlight and a wealth of community organisations dedicated to involving people in music, dance and drama. I myself am the granddaughter of local songwriter and folk singer Pete McGovern and grew up spending many hours in the Philharmonic Hall in Liverpool, wrapped in its peerless acoustic. As such, I would like to say a few more words, if time permits me, about culture. Mr Deputy Speaker, the passion for culture is especially strong in young people in my constituency, and I cannot imagine that there could be more talented young people in any other constituency. Local schools use children's creative talents on the stage to build their confidence. And in the recent election, I was lucky enough to visit several schools to see their performances. This has a really positive effect on the rest of education. And like many other constituencies, mine has seen schools make great strides in educational achievement, Mr Deputy Speaker, and we should not forget how far very able head teachers have led us in the past 13 years. Yeah. We also recognise culture as a driver of economic growth. For example, the recent increased promotion of culture in Merseyside has resulted in the North West being seen as a better place to do business. Yeah. I know that the same is true from other places in the UK, from Folkestone up to Newcastle. And at a time when we run the risk of sliding back into recession, this is surely a lesson that can be applied more widely. Our culture is an asset. Whilst we should never stop celebrating it for its own sake, we should not be blind to the benefits it brings to our economy. The government, Mr Deputy Speaker, have made great play of returning to the 4 original good causes of national lottery funding in the coalition agreement. We will have a debate in due course about whether this is the right approach. However, lottery funding for capital projects is no substitute for core public funds on which the arts in this country is built. Yes, lottery and private funds play a vital role, but they cannot be sought without the foundation of public funds on which to build. I recall that the first chair of the Arts Council was John Maynard Keynes, a great economist who understood this very well, and as do the people of Merseyside. I conclude, Mr Deputy Speaker, by saying that Wirral South is a constituency whose people, throughout the recent election, showed me and the other candidates very great kindness, and especially to me they showed friendliness as one of their very own seeking to represent them. I hope I can do so living up to their expectations and provide Wirral South with the strongest possible voice in the coming years. Yeah. Yeah.